Call to order a regular meeting of Warren City Council, Tuesday, August 15th at 7 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
President Green.
Here.
Councilman Watts.
Here.
Councilman Lafferty.
Here.
Councilman Kabazinski.
Present.
Councilwoman Rogancy.
Here.
Councilman Papandrea.
Here.
Councilwoman Moore is present. You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item is for adoption of the consent agenda, so moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion.
I would like to add as item 4R, which is from the CERT group, Local Governing Body Resolution for Charitable Gaming Licenses. And I would like to remove 4L. This item deals with the stadium here on the community center property. Although it is a non-binding letter of intent, there is an indication on what was sent over that there should be a public meeting, there should be public, we should have the public weighing in on this, so I would suggest that the DDA inform all residents within 1,000 feet of the community center grounds in writing with a notice of the community meeting, and that the community meeting allow each resident to speak for 3 minutes. We'd also suggest that this meeting be televised so it can be replayed for residents and council members that cannot attend. Once we hear from the community, I think that we can move forward or do what we're going to do. But I think without the community input, we really shouldn't be dealing with this at this point.
Put
So,
the cart before the horse.
yeah, exactly.
And anything else from the consent agenda?
Mr. President,
Mr. Kabzinski.
I will want to second Ms. Moore on that motion because I do believe, I agree the same thing, that there should be a meeting, committee of the whole on this here before. I understand the same thing as Ms. Moore said, it's a letter of intent, but I do think the public needs to have input on this here and not just have it, rammed through and voted upon by the council without having public input or there being a public meeting.
Thank you.
Mr.
Any
Pres-
additional?
Ms.
Ms.
President,
Rogancy?
clarification, is that item being removed or moved up?
Removed.
Moved.
Any additional? Call the question as amended. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Kabzinski?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0. Next item.
Next item is 5, adoption of the agenda, so moved with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Yes, we have 2 items to add as 12F, settlement in the DECA versus City of Warren claim. And the second is 12G, which is a settlement in the Howlett, the DeSheila Howlett versus City of Warren case.
Any other items?
Mr. President,
Mr. Watts?
I'd like to add an item in regards to the fire department.
I'm sorry?
I'd like to add an article in regards to the fire department discussion.
Okay, so that would be 13C.
Mr. President,
Mr. Kabzinski?
I'd just like to have discussion, not a motion or any kind of vote. But I do believe there needs to be discussion concerning the conduct and the actions of Brighter PAC of Michigan during this election. I think it needs to be at least discussed. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. It's Brighter Michigan PAC, the conduct during this election, and I think there needs to at least be discussion about it.
I don't think that's...
I don't think there's anything that council can do about that. If you want a discussion about it, you can talk about it during announcements.
Okay.
But it's not
I-
something that we can, it's not a vote.
I'm just bringing it up because I believe there were some charter violations.
Sure. Any additional? Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty, as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Next item is 6A, calendar of pending matters. Motion to receive and file with discussion.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion, Ms. Moore?
Thank you. We do have a lot of items still left on the calendar of pending matters. There are also many pending matters that are not included on here, but that need to be addressed. We've not heard anything about the progress or anything that's going on with the skate park. We've not, nothing. Or the library at 9 Mile, that seems to have stalled, and the fire stations. When are we going to break ground? That was supposed to be now, pretty soon. So, you know, there's a lot of,
It was supposed to be May.
May. So there are a lot of things out there that are not being done, that were approved, and, you know, when is this going to happen? We have all kinds of deals. Ms. Matazinski is here. The Gerald Barricade, we have it on our pending matters, that it was to go to planning, and once planning dealt with it, it was supposed to come over with the recommendation from the mayor. That has not happened. I watch the planning agendas every week, and it's not on there. There's all kinds of things we've asked for that have not been provided to us, and I think it's time for us to, you know, for us to get some of those answers and get moving on these projects that are out there. Thank you.
Ms. Moore, on the fire stations, last Wednesday, we had a meeting regarding the final bidders, and I believe the award letter's going out, so it should be coming back to us.
Okay, great.
shortly.
Thank you.
There were 4 bidders, and they're all very, very close, so we had to take a lot of time to find differentials
Great.
between them.
Thank you.
Yep. Any others? There's a motion received and file. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
6B, discussion in-ray resident neighborhood concerns. Mr. President?
Mrs. Moore.
I actually have an item, I've not been able to get an answer. The area around Carlson School, I got a call from residents that it's parked, it's signed not parking during certain hours of school, but it's not being enforced at all, and the residents are complaining that, you know, why even have those signs up, and that there's not that much traffic, that they even need to have those no parking. So I would ask that the police department look into that area. I think it's Monk Street that's right there, that's by Carlson, that's affected. If the police could go and take a look and see if we really do need those, the exact hours that are still there. School's going to be starting soon, and those residents kind of want something done there. So I would appreciate just a look at that. Thank you.
Any additional?
Mr. President,
Mr. Kaczynski.
I have for 8671, that's 8671 Hudson Avenue. It looks like a sinkhole was developed. It's took down my next-door neighbors to the west approach, and the entire approach caved in on itself. And it looks like all the dirt has been washed away from underneath, because you can see there it was like a big old cavern or whatever. So hopefully the administration can address that. I did contact engineering earlier. I did not receive a call from Ms. Gapshis, and I did notify the mayor's office first, per the charter, and I did not receive a call back about that either. I just seen Mr. Koss in the hallway. I did ask him if he could look into it. He assured me he would look and see if that's a water issue. I do know that there is a manhole just southeast of the approach to the driveway, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but there's been some repairs in that area as well, and I don't know how extensive the damage is underneath besides the sinkhole. So if the administration could address that, please.
Thank you. Any additional?
Mr. President,
Mr. Watts.
I have sent numerous items over to the mayor's office and to property maintenance to be addressed. And one of them, none of them have been taken care of, none, absolutely nothing. There's a yard down at 8 Mile and Warner area that's got a 24-foot box off of a moving truck in the backyard. I mean, it's just unbelievable that they don't react to anything anymore. They just let everything go. Coming here, there was grass a foot, 18 inches high, coming down 14 Mile. Coming down the street down here, same thing. I don't get it. 9 Mile in Panama, we've been through this many times. There's a fifth wheel camper on a residential lot. I brought mine home to load to go camping, and I got a visit from the inspector. They found out that my wife is worse than I am. So it's all good. You know, and I don't understand why nothing's getting done in the city. I don't know what they're doing all day. You know, I don't know what the mayor's stalling. You know, we can't get any of these projects going. The property maintenance is not getting done. The alleyway between Jackson and Fisher, east of Van Dyke, there's a utility line down in the middle of the alleyway that I turned in well over a week ago. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Went by there this week, yeah, it was 2 weeks ago, because I went by there this week, and it's still down in the alleyway. And there's multiple vehicles parked in a residential home, trucks, trailers, garbage dumpsters, like they're running a business out of the home. And no response. I asked for a reply from them. They want you to send everything to them. You know, great, I'll send it to you. Just give me a reply. You're working on it, you're not working on it, whatever. Can't even get that. So it's very frustrating, and if that's the way the city's gonna be run, you know, then I guess that's the way it's gonna be run. But I've done my job, I've turned in the complaints.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. Any additional? Next item.
Next,
Motion to send forward to the administration.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
support.
Motion by Lafferty, support by Moore. Thank you. Next item.
Next item is 7A, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of July 25th, 2023. So moved.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Watts. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Next item is 7B, approval of the minutes of the special meeting of August 9th, 2023. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item.
Next item is 8A, approval of the bills of the general revenue funds. Motion to approve with discussion.
Support with discussion.
Motion by Moore, support by Rogan C. Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Yes, thank you. There is a large dollar claim to the ASU Group wire transfer in the amount of $17,838.47. Just for everyone's information, that is collision damage to a police vehicle.
Any additional?
Mr. President,
Mr. Lafferty?
I'd like to separate check number 657538. It is for the performance of the Jay Giles Band, and it was made out to my brother Michael. So I'd like to separate that item and recuse myself from voting on it.
Is there a motion to excuse Mr. Lafferty?
Motion to excuse.
from that
Support.
check? Motion by Moore, support by Watts. All in favor?
Aye.
Excused from that check.
Thank you.
And we call the
Motion
General
to,
Revenue Fund, motion by Moore, support by Rogan C. for all except 657538.
yes,
Ms. Moore?
yes.
Ms. Rogan C.
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski? Yes. Green votes yes. Item passes 6-0.
Motion to approve check 657538.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Lafferty,
Yes.
7-0. Thank you. Is there, okay, go ahead.
Motion to approve with discussion.
657538.
Yep,
Motion by Moore.
discussion.
Can I get support?
Support.
Support.
Support by Watts.
Discussion.
Discussion, Ms. Moore.
My husband said that they were very good. So tell your brother.
Yes. Very
You
good.
got rave reviews.
Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski. Yes. Ms. Rogan C.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passes 6-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
8B, approval of the bills of the water and sewer system. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty.
Yes.
Ms. Rogan C.
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea.
Yes.
Mr. Watts.
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski.
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passes 7-0. Next item.
7C, general fund revenue report. Motion to receive and file.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
8D, general fund expenditure report. Motion to receive and file.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Watts. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Audience.
Members of the audience who would like to address council this evening may do so under the audience portion. You'll be given 3 minutes to speak. When there's 1 minute left, I'll let you know. When there's 3 minutes, I'll ask you to wrap up. The first speaker is Scott Montgomery.
Name is Scott Montgomery, Warren, Michigan, since 1966. I left to serve in the military, came back, and seen all these different city councils that has been in place for the years, and I've not seen one group as bad as this group right here. There's only two up there that I would consider trying to help Warren. Papandrea is one of them, and Kabaginski is the other. The rest of you have done nothing but set this city backwards and cost the taxpayers money, over $1 million in legal fees. It's shameful. And the way you treat the city attorney, you don't even recognize him. And anything the mayor tries to do, you blackball. But I hope this puppet show will be over soon. Mr. Green is the puppet master, and I see his puppeteers. They all got strings hanging from them. And that's all I got to say, and I'll end this, and I hope your ending is coming soon.
Gina? Gina?
Good evening. First, I'd like to say to Mr. Green, congratulations on still losing to Mayor Fouts. Still losing. Still losing. Mindy Moore, you went on Channel 4 and stated that the mayor wants $1 million from the citizens of Warren. When you've cost us over $1 million, we're paying for your attorney that we didn't approve of. We still don't know how much the man makes. But once this is gone, he's got to find a new gig, which thankful to that. Lafferty, I don't know what you're going to do, because once all of these guys are gone, you're on your own. You're on your own. And Watts, property maintenance does do their job. Number one, the south end of Warren is not your district. Stay in your district, because I live in the south end. And when I call them, guess what? They're there. You don't belong in my district. And Eddie, you lost because you don't put a sign on your car or your van or your truck disrespecting a woman, calling her a prostitute. Shameful. And you've done nothing for the south end of Warren. In 4 years, you have made it worse. Worse. And Angela, when it comes to your campaign funds, it's funny that not one person in here is from the city of Warren, but you're supposed to be for us? Oh, there is one, but it's illegal because it's a corporation. Then you talk about the recreational marijuana and you want to put it on the ballot. It's funny. You got what? 2 weed companies that donated to your fund.
1 minute.
And a hydroponics company that donated to your fund. So what? You're not going to help the city of Warren. And everything you did, Mayor Fouts, that's why you came in 3rd. The shit show is gone. Thank you, God. And I told you, Mr. Green, I was going to make it my mission not to see you sit behind a desk in the city of Warren again. And guess what? It happened. This is what y'all deserve. Karma is a bitch.
Mary Menizinski?
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good evening, Council. I'm just going to give you a quick update on the barricades since you're not getting the information. Back in March, I met with Ron Worth and a few other people, and a traffic road expert, blah, blah, blah. So from March till about June, they were doing all these, looking at the traffic from Skycam, or I don't know where they were. Anyway, Tina Gaps just took over the project in engineering. She started to do a traffic study and put up all the no parking signs on both sides of Imperial, which is nice, except it turned it into NASCAR Raceway. So now instead of them going 30 or 40 down Imperial to get where they're going 40 and 50 and whatever. About 2 weeks after they started this, Tina Gaps just decided, and I don't know who else was with her on this team, but to stop doing the traffic study and wait until school goes back, because that's when we have all the buses going up and down. In the meantime, a few weeks ago, we had an asphalt incident with 6 or 7 asphalt companies decided to descend on Imperial so none of us could get out. Mr. Watson, Mr. Kabazinski came out to see what was going on and tried to help because there was inevitably going to be a disaster. As I know it right now, the traffic study's on hold. It includes the no parking signs on both sides of Imperial. It includes removing the barrier for 3 weeks. Then there's a second phase to the traffic study to try to figure out how they can route traffic down Gerald, but not allow the mosque and the Islamic Center to use it. I don't know how they think they're going to do that, but that's what they're doing. So we're looking at probably
1 minute.
September, October, and November as a time frame to traffic study Imperial and Gerald.
Thank you. Jerry Bell?
I don't want to beat you up too bad, worse than what you've already been beat up in the election, Mr. Green. But, Mr. Watts, you do all this driving around, and why can't you take care of your own district? You're not an at-large candidate or what I'd say, elected to be at large. Worry about your own district. Get out and pull out a lawnmower and cut some grass, just like I do. And I'm not even an elected official. That's all you gotta do. Get off your butt and do something. And you, Mr. Lafferty, man, 16 votes? That should tell you something. The people don't want you no more. Everything that you guys did within the past 4 years that affected our city, what did you think was gonna happen? Truly, I believe it should have went to Swaka and Mr. Howard. You shouldn't even been in the equation. But you know what? Your time is coming on the next election. You're gonna be out of here in November. And Mindy, oh, I can't wait to see you lose. I swear, all that laughing and giggling and little bull crap that you be doing, making those little ugly faces, yeah. Well, you can do that at home because you're gonna be unemployed. You, Angela, I told you, you came in 3rd place. Had this had been a general, you would have lost. You're like a chameleon. I told you that. I campaigned against you to go door to door and tell people not to support you. And it worked. And it's gonna work in November too. Mr. Schroeder, a little something for you, buddy. The Johnny Cochran of the city of Warren. Dude, that first case you had with Judge Toya, you were shaking like a leaf. I was in the courtroom just like I was today. Look at you laughing. I know I'm getting to you. I know I'm getting to you. But you ain't seen nothing yet because you're gonna be unemployed too. And Mr. Green, I know you wanna get back on the ballot. You want a new election, don't you? So you can have a second chance. Hey, you just may get it, but you also just may lose again. I love it when you guys did that press conference when I got into a little trouble, because karma is a bitch.
Nice language.
See ya.
Hey, at least we're still on the ballot.
Curtis Oshkosh.
I'm good.
Good evening, council. How are you this evening? Just a couple things. First, our little food pantry on 9 Mile Road, I'm not trying to brag, but we're up like 300% this year in terms of people that are food insecure. Most people have no clue. You know, a couple years ago, we were serving about 1,600 people a month, and we thought, that's a lot. 1,600 people that are in need of food. People don't come to a food pantry because they have the means to acquire food. They come because they're desperate, that they're needy, that they have a need for food that they can't satisfy elsewhere. The last multiple months, the state cut about $120 or $130 from everybody's bridge card per month. So a family of 4 lost about $500. And the last multiple months, we've been serving more than 6,000 in our community consistently every single month. I mean, imagine that, 6,000. And I don't think, besides Eddie, I don't think any of you guys have ever even bothered to notice what we do. General Motors sent about 20 people there today to help volunteer to operate our food ministry. It's done 100% with volunteers. And I think we have to understand there's greater needs in the South End than most people even realize. We interact with anywhere between 2 and 30 homeless people every single day in Warren. There was somebody on this council, and I'm not going to throw any stones. I know some of you guys are already wounded, but they're like, where's the homeless people in Warren? Well, you have to kind of open your eyes to see in a different way, to see what's really going on. There's a great need. There's huge, huge disparities in terms of the North End and the South End. And I don't know what we can do as a city, but if we're going to stabilize Warren in totality, we have to come up with some kind of solution. So far, we've been able to do what we do. We buy food to give food away. We get food from Gleaners and 41 other sources. And it's not expensive to do what we do. We didn't even have a clue that this year was going to be a 300% increase in demand. But it is what it is. We've never turned anybody away yet. But I think as a body, I wish I would have Mr. Schroeder's, I don't know, I filed a FOIA to find out how much money he got. If we had his money, we probably wouldn't have budget problems at our food pantry with a 300% increase. I'm not sure.
Personal.
But, you know, as a city, we have to come together.
Get personal, Pastor. Appreciate it.
Pardon me?
Pastor. Michelle Nard?
Good day.
Wow. Good evening, everybody. Congratulations to all of you that won. Congratulations to everybody that won. It's good to see that Warren is going to have some different people. And on a positive note, I just hope that just looking behind me is very telling of the hard work and how hard it had to be for you guys to not have the support that you need. Because I expected to see the people that got elected to sit in your seats here today, thanking the people for putting them there. Because a lot of them have never sat in those seats ever, so they don't even know how to run a city, okay? Because they've never done it before. And it would behoove me if I had seen them here trying to learn how to do this. Because now we have a lot of new people. So I thank God that we still have Mr. Watts and Lafferty and Mindy and Angela here, because they're seasoned. I would be scared to have everybody new. That just wouldn't be conducive. And I'm just glad to have some people that, you know, that are here that can kind of school the new people that are coming. We're going to have a new mayor. two people that, in my opinion, have never done this type of work. It's not an easy job. No elected job is easy. So to hear people that you care about and you're spending your time taking care of put you down this way, I know it has to be hard because we get into it at the commissioners' meetings. We don't get it this bad, but people, always criticize. So I'm just gonna leave you with just, you guys keep your heads up, and I'm praying that each and every one of you and the audience out here understand how hard this job is and start supporting the people that are giving up their lives to take care of your business. You want them to take care of your business, they hold the purse strings. These seats ought to be filled with people coming in here to find out. And I would love to see each and every person that's on that ballot right now, and I want to hear them. I want to know what they're going to do for the city. That's what we need. So I'm asking you up here to call for a town hall so we can ask them, what are you going to do as mayor? What are you going to do as council? How are you going to fix the problem that we have? Okay, because we don't want the same thing that we had before. And the way it's looking now with nobody showing up today and nobody coming up saying anything but all negativity, it's gonna be some of the same thing. Let's get it together, let's love each other, okay? You don't have to like anybody, but love them. Care enough about these people that are working hard for you and the people that are asking you to work for them so we can get our city back where it needs to be. Thank you guys, have a great day.
Thank you. Laura Arts?
Sorry, I'm a little slow. First, I'd like to say thank you to Gary Watts. I appreciate you driving around, and I appreciate all the support you've been to me over the last 3 years. I would like to discuss the De La Salle proposal. Number one, I strongly disagree with you, Mrs. Moore. This has to be a public meeting, which is everybody. You are asking the public to pay $10 million to rebuild a stadium and then give 100% control over to a Catholic organization. They get naming rights. They get to decide who rents it and who doesn't rent it. I was on Facebook today, I was asking at least our public schools should be allowed to rent this and be guaranteed that they could rent this. And boy, the pushback I got. People don't think the public school should do it. But if you read the letter of intent, it says that De La Salle gets to decide who rents and who doesn't. And that's fraught with concern for me because as I know, the Catholics are a very racist organization. Second, I would like to ask you to table the, let's see, that would be 12C, which is the licensing of rental dwellings. If you actually go and read the e-packet, what's in the e-packet has nothing to do with the rental of dwellings. It's all about homeowners renting their houses or et cetera. There's nothing about inspecting hotels in there. I called the mayor, I spoke to the mayor, and the mayor assured me that this would cover hotels, but if you actually read the words in the ordinance, it does not cover hotels. So this is a sneaky way to get Airbnbs additional regulations by calling it the name that it doesn't cover. So I would like to actually see, I would support 100% an ordinance to inspect our hotels. I have been in these hotels. They are filthy dirty. They do not clean them. They do not change the beds. There are bugs. We need to, and if we're going to get people to visit Warren and have a good, positive result, a visit to Warren, then we need to start inspecting our hotels. And that includes the ones up and down. I've stayed in all of the ones up and down Van Dyke, and they're no better than the ones on 8 Mile into Quinder. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Howard?
Good afternoon. Just a couple things. Just wanted to echo what the previous speaker said about De La Salle and even a lot of the investments that have happened in or have been pitched are all in the north end of the city. We're getting ready to see whoever the future city council is. We will have zero representation from the south end of the city again, and it looks like the investment is still going up to the north. So we'll love to see investment and the disinvestment in the south end addressed. I think when we fight against something for so long, we start to become that thing. And it's just very dangerous. So I would just caution everyone to not be the thing that you're fighting against. Don't fight against something. There's so much fighting against things in this city, but what are you fighting for? What vision are you pushing forward? So I would just encourage everyone to push that. Dr. King, when he was accepting his Nobel Peace Prize, he said, "I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will always have the final word in reality. That is why temporary defeat is stronger than evil triumphant." So we just want to echo his words as we continue to look at what happens next in the city of Warren. I know there's 2 council members, Gary Watts and Angela Rogenstein. Every time I've called either one of you guys, and I don't call everyone, but these are the ones I annoy the most. And when something is going on in a city, or something is like, there was a tree that had a rope attached to it, attached to a power line, and I reached out to you guys, and it was addressed almost immediately, and some other issues in the city. So I appreciate you guys advocating and addressing things in the city when I brought those to you. Hope that continues forward as we look to whatever happens in the next few months. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret Huntone.
The chair. I want to preface my remarks. You guys do not deserve the vitriol that has been handed to you tonight, again, from the audience. I like you. I like you a lot, and I want to thank you for all the work that you've done for the city. Mr. Schroeder, you're worth every penny we've spent on you. Tonight,
Ms. Antone, can you pull the mic down a little bit?
do I have to repeat all that?
No, you're good.
Love, love, love. I'm speaking tonight against the proposed takeover of the Community Center Athletic Field by De La Salle Collegiate. I want to thank you for removing the item from the consent agenda, and as I understand it, the DDA is going to be issuing some kind of a bond according to the plan. Until the DDA forensic audit is completed and reported back to council, I don't think they should be allowed to buy so much as a postage stamp, much less issue any more bonds, so I really think that's a bad idea. De La Salle is a private Catholic school, and giving them preferred access and control over any government property is a flagrant and egregious violation of the First Amendment right to freedom of religion and the 14th Amendment right to equal treatment under the law. To add insult to injury, De La Salle is an all-boys school, and as a woman, I'm really leery of that. The proposed use of the community athletic field by a private Catholic school feels to me like an insult to the primarily Muslim Bangladeshi community. I can't speak for them, I'm just speaking from my own feelings about this, but I think the delays in building cricket fields in a city park and the drama about the funding for the project look more and more like blatant discrimination in light of the greased grooves the De La Salle project is finally, to the community center, is sliding in on. And secondly, the city's public denial of a previously approved permit to hold a Bangladeshi festival in front of City Hall, and I know council didn't have anything to do with that, but that was caused, it was quoted as being an ethnic festival, and that just screams discrimination to me.
1 minute.
The emotional wounds these 2 incidents caused haven't scabbed over yet and will never heal if the council approves the De La Salle project. I know my opposition to this is bootless. You're going to do what you're going to do. But I really hope that you'll reconsider the project and think very carefully about the constitutional issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item is announcements, 10A. Give me one. Can we skip this for a minute and let somebody, I have to find something on my computer, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Mr. President.
Other announcements?
I need to talk to Mary.
Mr. President.
Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. In case you have not been by 13 and Mound, there is a brand-new restaurant that you probably are familiar with already. Green Lantern has opened up in Warren. Unlike the Green Lantern at 12 and John R., their flagship, this is a carry-out, mostly carry-out restaurant. So not much of a dine-in, but still the same great food. I have not seen the, quote, best pizza in town quite yet, so maybe they have a lot to live up to their counterparts in Madison Heights. But do look forward to getting a pie from them very soon. They are open 11 to 10 Monday through Thursday, 11 to 11 Friday through Saturday, and 12 through 10 on Sundays. So please check them out. Next to Dave's Hot Chicken and a couple of other new restaurants coming in, that's the same location, same corner in the Village Plaza as the Red Run Skate Shop. A lot of new development. I'm really encouraged to see over the last few years that plaza has really turned around and is going to be quite the gem after it's finished. So do stop on by, patronize these small businesses. They are the heart of the city of Warren. Thank you.
Ms. Moore?
Thank you. 10A, resolution honoring Joe Cochran.
You go down there and read it.
Well, I'm going to say something first. So in my first term of council in '03 to '07, one of the first things I became aware of was our sports coverage on TV Warren. And if you were around at that time, you know what a huge part TV Warren played in the lives of all the athletes in the schools. They were all vying for TV Warren to come out and cover their games, and you know, it was a balance. And then, was it Friday night Sportsline? People would call in. It was like the hot thing of the week. And so I met Joe Cochran, who was a rock star. And I'll explain how I know he was a rock star. I was at my kids' school, high school, and they were having a huge, you know, a big rally. It was homecoming. I think it was homecoming. And I'm there with, you know, some of the parents, and the whole gym is just full. There's probably had 800 kids, 1,000. And they announced Joe Cochran. The place erupted. You would have thought that the Rolling Stones walked in. They just went crazy for him. And they still talk about it. My kids get together and they still talk about how great Joe Cochran is. So I have a resolution I'd like to come down and present. Whereas the residents of Warren, Michigan are proud of the accomplishments of local author Joe Cochran. And whereas Joe Cochran recently co-authored a true crime book, Rogue Town. And whereas the re-released Rogue Town, originally by celebrity private eye Vito Colucci Jr. and Dennis Griffin, includes new chapters authored by Joe Cochran. And whereas Joe Cochran is also working on a sequel, Rogue Town 2. And whereas the citizens of Warren share in his excitement and are proud of his success in national true crime investigating and reporting. And whereas, since Joe Cochran made such a lasting positive impact on so many young athletes in Warren, it is a distinct privilege to celebrate with him as he embarks on a new, exciting chapter in his career. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the Warren City Council, on behalf of the citizens of Warren, Michigan, do hereby proclaim that Joe Cochran be recognized and extend sincere best wishes to all his future endeavors. Resolution declared adopted this 15th day of August, 2023.
After seeing a little bit of tonight, I think I chose the right profession, that's for sure. But anyways, I want to thank council, those who served on the council back in the late 90s and early 2000s. Thank you so much. Of course, we had Mark Steenberg and Joe Munum, who led the way with getting a lot of equipment for us that really paved the way to get into the Hall of Fame and then lead me down the road here to write Rogue Town. So one door closed here, it's like 4 opened, and it continues to roll on. But you know what? It's good to be back home. This is where it started, and I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for the people I worked with, and I'm so grateful for the many council people. I think Mary Camp was on there at that time. Mary has been a very good friend. Mindy Moore, I really appreciate you spearheading this, and You know, I could go on and on. It's just been a great life, and I'm so happy to be working with Vito Colucci. Look him up, #1 private eye in America, and wait for book 2 will be out by Christmas. I thank you very much, and the pleasure is just, it's just unbelievable from my head down to my toes. I just cannot express how happy I am to be here tonight.
Joe, can you tell us tell the people watching in the audience how they can obtain a copy of your book?
Yes, you can get it on Amazon. Check it out, Rogue Town, that's R-O-G-U-E Town. Also, if you're in this area, and some people I've met, and many you've probably seen some of them on Facebook, I will be glad to meet up, sign it, and sell you a book. And it's doing really well. It's still on the charts, and doing very, very well. And thank you for helping me plug that. It's been a joy writing this book, and I've learned a lot. I got a lot more to learn from Vito. He had me cover the Aaron Hernandez murder trial for his radio show, and then once that happened, he says, I want you to do book 2 for me. And but yeah, you can get it at Amazon, and it's only $20. It's a lot cheaper than most of the books, and it's got 400 pages, and everything in it is true. Vito is truly an American hero. Once you read what he did as far as bringing down the mafia and people that were his superiors as a police officer, so he has a lot of courage, and I've learned a lot from him. But yeah, please, Amazon, or see me personally, and I'll be glad to sign a copy. And again, for you guys to do this for me and bring me back home to where it all started, it's a real thrill and an honor, and I thank you, council, very much. And Mindy, thank you for spearheading this. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Joe.
We're very proud of you, Joe.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I have one more announcement.
One more announcement.
There is a lead awareness fair, which is a free event with giveaways on Thursday, August 24th, 2023. Families with children under 6, please join us for a fun, informative afternoon. Come have your children tested for elevated blood lead levels. Bring items from home for lead testing, and engage with medical professionals and city officials to learn about lead-based paint hazards and available resources. There's a mobile blood testing unit, soil sample lead testing, and XRF analyzer to detect lead in household items. There is a limit of 10 items. Lead hazard education, ice cream, goodie bags, and a raffle. That is from 2 to 6:30 p.m. Again, Thursday, August 24th at the Owen Jacks Recreation Center on 9 Mile. We will put this on council's Facebook page. And so if you are in need of these services, please stop by August 24th. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
Mr. President,
Mr. Kabzinski.
you said I could address
Yeah, go
the
ahead.
item then? Okay. So, as I stated earlier, during this election here, I noticed there were some inconsistencies that took place. I'm not talking about campaigning. I'm talking about this PAC that was operating actively here in the city of Warren during the elections, called Brighter Michigan PAC. And evidently, they were involved in voter intimidation and election interference. This is illegal according to our city charter. There are penalties for this, and because of that, and because of other inconsistencies that I've seen happen in the 5th District election, I have done my part, and I have filed a lawsuit, civil complaint for injunctive relief to handle the inconsistencies that took place in the 5th District election, and in particular, pointing out the violations that Brighter Michigan PAC committed in this election, primarily in the 5th District, but in also other areas of the city of Warren that I've been recently notified, items that had taken place during the election from constituents, not only in my district, but in other districts and also at large. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Next item.
Next item is 12A, proposed ordinance to amend Chapter 41, Section 41-155, regulating stormwater runoff for new or redeveloped project sites. This is a second reading. Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy?
Yes.
Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
Next item is 12B, proposed ordinance to amend Chapter 41, Article 2, Section 41-33, relating to cross connections, Chapter 41, Article 5, Section 41-181, relating to sewer disposal charges, and Chapter 1, Division 3, Section 1-11, relating to authority to issue civil infractions. This is a second reading. Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
12C, proposed ordinance amendment to Chapter 9, Article 2, Division 1, Subdivision 2, Section 9-17.12, creating a parking lot maintenance permit requirement. Second reading. So moved.
Support Lafferty. Discussion.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. I did read through the changes, and they are reflective of what the council put through. This is related to the restriping and resurfacing of lots to ensure that they meet site plan requirements after they have been restriped, so that there are no changes to be inconsistent with the plans that have been submitted and approved by the Planning Commission. So I'm very happy to see this. Also very pleased to see the inclusion of the ADA standards that indicate that accessible spaces are to be painted in bright blue, not yellow like all other spots are. So nice to see that called out, and I'd like to thank Legal Department for bringing that forward.
Any other discussion? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
12D, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving the continuation of health insurance coverages with Blue Cross Blue Care Network and Blue Cross Medicare Advantage, and dental insurance coverage with Delta Dental and Golden Dental, known as DenCap Dental. So moved.
Support Lafferty. Discussion.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion, Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. I do want to, I believe, Ms. Warren, is that, through the chair, I have one question for you.
And Mr. Mueller.
And Mr. Mueller, thank you. Good evening. Thank you for coming. Could you just briefly speak about the renewal in terms of, this is a continuation of coverages, any major changes to the city's plan?
No changes.
No changes?
No.
Okay, and there is no provision or silent amendment in this packet for lifetime health care for any city officials?
No, there's not.
We didn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, there is not.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had. Thank
Any
you.
additional? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Ms. Rogancy?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Next item.
12C, proposed ordinance to amend Chapter 28, Article 2, Sections 28-10, 28-11, and 28-16, relating to licensing of rental dwellings. First reading. Motion to approve with discussion.
Support Lafferty for discussion purposes.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. There seems to be some duplication of ordinances, and I'm not really sure. It seems a little confusing to me. If Mr. Schroeder could maybe elaborate on that. He's taken a look at it, as I understand.
Sure, I did through the chair to respond to this. So this is a proposed ordinance that will require hotels and motels to receive rental inspections in the same way that an apartment building or a rental unit or a any other type of residential rental unit would be inspected. So if you own an apartment building, you have to get a license from the city, pass inspection. If you have a rental home in the city, you have to get a license from the city, you have to pass an inspection, and you have to pass an inspection on renewal. And so I've seen some statements that this is somehow going to stop human trafficking and bed bugs and all sorts of other problems that are seen in these hotels and motels. The first thing that confused me about this was a statement that we don't have the ability to inspect hotels or motels right now. Somehow the city's hands are tied. And all I did was flip open our code of ordinances, and I remember from, just by reference, in 1997, the city council passed a hotel and motel inspection ordinance. It's on the books as we speak. It's called Hotels and Motels, and it does exactly what the is being proposed here. So you look, and I can cite the section in the ordinance. It's section 17-96 of the Code of Ordinances was where the license is required, but it's Article 4 of Chapter 17, and it's called Hotels and Motels. And every hotel and motel in the city is required to have a license. And in order to get that license, there has to be an annual inspection. And that inspection is done upon the initial license and upon renewal. I'll just read from the ordinance because it's instructive. It says, each application for a license or a renewal shall be referred by the police commissioner to the building department and the fire department. No license shall be issued after an inspection has been made by the aforesaid agencies and it has been found that the premise complies in all respects with the housing code of the state and the provisions of this code and all other ordinances of the city, and a certificate to that effect has been issued by the building department. So that's a little bit legalese there, but essentially what they're saying is, right now, if you're a hotel or motel, you need a license. And if you want to renew that license every year, by the way, they all expire on March 31st, you need to get a background by the police commissioner and an inspection by the city, and the building department has to sign off that you are in compliance with all city ordinances and the state housing code. So I'm trying to figure out what's being accomplished by going into our rental ordinance, which is for like residential properties, and adding a new team of inspectors over there, which is what the cover letter from Mr. St. Pierre said. The related city, former assistant city attorney said that they will have a new group, a proposed new group to conduct these inspections. So it looks to me like there's a duplication of effort or somebody missed that this ordinance is here. I think the council would want to know who's doing the current inspections, what do these inspection reports show, and why are these inspections not catching the problems?
Maybe we can see samples of the last inspections done.
Yeah, I mean, I just.
Yeah, maybe last year's,
And see how it goes through with this ordinance,
yeah. Why don't we
how they interact.
Why don't we request that as part of this motion before we approve a second reading? And we might want to have a committee meeting of the whole with that information
It does seem like duplication.
in tow. So why don't we ask for that information? The May, when was May expires?
March 31st.
March 31st, so we should have had inspections in March of 2023.
For all hotels and-
For all hotels and motels. Let's get that information and then have a committee meeting of the whole to discuss that and why this need for this new ordinance, because it's.
What's the impetus?
Yeah.
Mr. President,
Mr. Lafferty?
I'd also like to ask that we find out how many new inspectors have been hired. As part of our budget, we added funding for additional inspectors in rental, but those were supposed to be used for residential inspections, not a proposed group to inspect hotels. So I'd also like to know if they've fulfilled their end of the bargain on the number of inspectors that we have working for the city.
All that's incorporated as part of the motion? Any additional?
Mr. President?
Mr. Watts?
I agree with all this. We got to find out these answers, because I want to know if they've been inspecting those hotels all these years. Has this been done? Because if it hasn't been done, I got another problem. And the other problem I have with this is we want to start inspecting the hotels and motels. We're not even inspecting the homes. There are so many unlicensed rental homes in this city, and there's so many that are licensed that aren't getting inspected, that have problems. They have back taxes. Nobody should get a rental license if they got back taxes, period. They should get more than a 10-minute walk by, yep, looks good to me, and move on when the house is falling down. So I got a lot of questions. I think a committee of the whole, have the administration here. I think there's a lot of answers that need to come from this administration.
Good. Any additional? Call the question on the first reading as amended with the request for additional information to committee of the whole. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
Next item is 12F, resolution approving proposed settlement of pending pre-litigation. Motion to approve. Let me read the resolution. The city is currently involved in a pre-lawsuit matter styled Ole Deca versus City of Warren et al., claim number CN 02300005901. The city's legal counsel and administration have recommended settlement of this matter and have requested approval by city council. The administration requests that the settlement be approved by city council on terms as presented by the city's representing attorney at a closed session held on August 15, 2023. Therefore, it is resolved that City Council does hereby adopt and approve the administration's recommendation concerning settlement of this case, and the City Council authorizes payment by wire transfer to ASU Group upon receipt of a copy of this resolution, a request for payment from the Insurance Division, and a copy of the invoice for payment of this matter.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Is there support?
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Absolutely no.
Mr. Kaczynski?
No.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
No.
Green votes yes. Item passed 4-3. Next item.
12G, motion to approve the settlement as discussed in closed session in the case of DeSheila C. Howlett versus City of Warren et al., Court of Appeals numbers 23-1504 and 23-1568, United States District Court, case number 17-11260.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Lafferty, support by Moore. Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Absolutely no.
Mr. Kaczynski?
No.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 5-2. Next item.
Next item is 13A, request to approve Michigan State subdivision agreement for allocations of Allergan, Teva, CVS, Walmart, and Walgreens settlement agreements, addendum number 1, consideration and adoption of a resolution. Motion to approve.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
13B, request to approve Michigan State subdivision agreement for allocations of distributor settlement agreement and Janssen settlement agreement, addendum number 2, consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
Next item is 13C, discussion fire department. Councilman Watts.
Mr. Watts, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Support.
Mr. Watts, you have the floor.
Yes. I wanted to bring this to the attention. This has everything to do with the administration at City Hall and more than it does to do with the fire department. Our firefighters do a great job every day. They bust their rear end. But once again, this weekend, on Saturday, we had 2 paramedic units out of service, 2 ambulances, squads. We call them squads. They're ambulances to common people, out of service for 12 hours. We are at an all-time high of runs in this city. And that is very concerning. In the budget that we approved a 7th squad/ambulance to be in service. And here we are in the middle of August, and we're not in service yet. I have an issue with that. Now, when I got on this council, we were 17 firefighters short. And I met with George Demas and Richard Fox and our lobbyist, Art Miller. And they assured me this was going to be taken care of, and here we are, almost 4 years later, and guess what? We still have the same problem. It's been ongoing, and I see Commissioner McAdams back there. I know he's tried with the cadet program, he's done some things, and we're trying to hire. But this administration, HR, and Mayor Fouts has failed this city tremendously when it comes to staffing this fire department. Our police department had such staffing issues that the commissioner had to pull the hiring out of HR and do it himself to get it done. And here we are, we're 10 people short, 10 people. Taking 2 squads out of service for the day is troubling to me. Weekends are busy. It's bad enough that sometimes we have to call other communities to back us up because all 6 of our ambulances are on the road. I just think the people need to know that the City Hall is not doing their job to get people hired. We put in that budget 6 fully credentialed firefighters to staff the 7th squad, and we are nowhere close to staffing that squad. Plus, we had an ambulance totaled out, and we have a problem getting one. Now, I've located 4 or 5 demos. I don't know why we're not going after a demo. But I have a problem with this. I think our fire department should be fully staffed like our police department, and this has been going on for 4 years. It's unacceptable, unacceptable. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. Motion to receive and file?
Yes.
Oh, additional, Mr. Kaczynski?
If I can. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In reference to the squad issue, I know we're building a new fire station that's going to happen over there on Shane Ridge South 13 Mile Road, but I didn't know what the plans were going to be going forward for the old station, and I had asked to have a meeting with Commissioner McAdams about this here, and like Mr. Watts had suggested, we need to have more rescue squads. So what I had floated an idea was, what if we went ahead and kept that building open, not shuttered it, and I asked him, okay, we have a squad there, and we have a fire truck currently, and maybe one other piece of equipment. What if when we got up to the point of having all the ambulances that we needed and reserves, that we would use that additional station just to have 4 ambulance stations there, and they could run additional units out of that fire station just to be a rescue building for ambulances, and we could fit 4 of them in there, and that would add to our ambulance fleet or rescue fleet, and not shutter that station. It just would be for rescue ambulances. It seemed to be that, and I'm not going to put words in the commissioner's mouth, but he seemed to be receptive to that idea, and that might be something we might be able to do if we're going to have the increased ambulance and rescue runs.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional?
Mr. President, can I just,
Mr. Watts?
one thing? Because I know me and Commissioner McAdams, we've had a lot of talks. And I think he has done the best he can do. And I feel bad for the man, because this administration has not given him the resources he needs to properly do what needs to be done in the department. So, thanks for what you've tried to do, Commissioner. I have some agreement with the 7th station with some medic units. I mean, all depends on future budgets, but, you know, I mean, we're taking in, you know, I don't know, last year we were at 3.2 million. I imagine we'll be over 4 million this year. That money should all be coming back. That's another ordinance that's not published. There should be at least $2 million coming back to the fire department to get things done, and it's not happening. And, you know, I'll go down the rabbit hole. The guy that got the top vote to be mayor is the one that's causing this problem. So there you have it. Thank you. And thank you, Commissioner, for showing up tonight.
Motion by
Moore?
Moore and Watts to receive and file. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item.
Next item is 14A, request of the Police Department for an increase in budgeted revenues and appropriations in the amount of $4,114 to purchase 9/11 dispatch equipment with recently enacted Macomb County 9/11 surcharge tax revenue and to cover contractual obligations associated with GELC 2027 collective bargaining agreement. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. 5 votes are needed. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
14B, request of the Police Department for an increase in budgeted appropriations of funds in the amount of $797,451 to cover the costs of purchasing additional police vehicles. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. 5 votes are needed. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
14C, request of the Police Department to approve the purchase of 18 police vehicles through the Oakland County Vehicle Contracts and the State of Michigan My Deal Contract TRIW 1006 in a total amount not to exceed $773,451. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support with discussion.
Motion by Moore, support by Watts. Discussion. Mr. Watts?
I believe there's a lieutenant or captain, I don't know which one's here tonight. But I did talk to Commissioner Dwyer earlier today about these vehicles, and we're actually replacing some vehicles and adding some vehicles to the fleet because we have vehicles going down and we don't have enough to cover our current staffing levels. So, this is definitely needed, so.
Wait, you're telling me if we hire more cops, we need more cars?
Can you imagine that? No foot patrol. So that's what I found out, I'm glad, I'm one that follows the police and fire, and I can tell you one thing, when we have an incident, there's a lot of police cars on the scenes of some of these things, and I really think that showing is good to the people, so I don't know if he has anything he'd like to add or not.
Anything you want to add on the purchase and the need?
Nothing, Council. Just here for your questions, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I have a
Mr.
question.
Kaczynski?
Besides being de-Xed and being used by the rest of the city departments after the vehicles are done, are any of them being sold to offset the costs of the purchases?
Yes. To be fiscally responsible, once the vehicle is taken out of commission, depending on how it's used, it's either sold or used elsewhere in the city.
Okay, and we're using those funds to offset the costs when we're purchasing?
Yes. All these vehicles are being purchased through drug forfeiture, so once they're sold, the money gets returned back to the city.
Okay, and so far, how much has the offset been from the purchase? How much have we used from the sale of the vehicles once they're de-Xed?
It just goes back into the regular account. I don't have that number, but I do know it is being tracked through the controller's office and through DPW.
Okay. So how many would you guesstimate we're getting return on the investment once we put out for salvage and we get that salvage amount? I mean, how many are we actually getting the money back to purchase another vehicle?
If it's made through drug forfeiture, then those would be going through. I don't have that number for you. I can get it for you and then get you that information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, if it's drug forfeiture money and we sell it, it must go back into that account. If it's something in general, we just show it as sold property on our revenues. Any other questions? Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
14D, request of the Police Department to increase the award for the Police Department vehicle upfitting from $200,000 annually to $482,000 annually, utilizing the City of Dearborn cooperative proposal to Canfield Equipment located in Warren. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support.
Motion by Moore, support by Watts. Discussion. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
Next item is 14E, request of the Controller's Office for an increase in budgeted appropriations in the amount of $1,675 to cover the increased costs associated with the two-year extension for the City of Warren's defined contribution consulting services. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. 5 votes are needed. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
14F, recommendation of the Controller's Office to rescind the current 7.5 month extension of award for RFP W9632 to Sigma Planning Corporation and reaward a 2-year extension for consulting services for the City of Warren defined contribution, deferred compensation, RHS, and Roth IRA plans. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
14G, request of the Sanitation Division for an increase in budgeted appropriation of funds in the amount of $15,800 to cover the increased costs for the annual community contribution to the SMDA fund. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. 5 votes are needed. So moved.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Ms. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Green votes yes, item passed 7-0. Next item.
14H, request of Information Technology Department for an increase in appropriation of funds in the amount of $535,390 and to approve the migration of all city applications for BS&A to a cloud-based system. Consideration and adoption of a resolution. 5 votes are needed. So moved.
Support Lafferty with discussion.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. Discussion. Mr. Lafferty.
Thank you. This is related to an item that we had a couple of months back, and is that Mr. Suman? Is Mr. Suman in the audience?
I don't see him.
No, no.
Oh, he's back there.
There he is. I knew I
there
saw
he
him
is.
somewhere. Through the chair to Mr. Suman, if you could please come up.
Come on down.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here. Could you please, you and I had a couple of email exchanges relative to the overall migration of our infrastructure. And so this is, what percentage of our servers in our data centers on-premise are being migrated to the cloud?
Well, as we discussed, we're trying to move as many as possible, but this is our the main server, the biggest server that we have. And this will house our the financial system that we're actually purchasing through BS&A. It houses all of our BS&A modules. In terms of the percent of servers, it's probably, like I said, it's the biggest server, but we have about 25 to 30 physical servers in-house. But most of those will be going away once we move them to the cloud, whichever service we decide to go with, if it be AWS or Azure or any other platform that we choose. But this is the one single main server that does a lot of our day-to-day stuff.
Agree. I just wanted to highlight, and thank you for the information, I wanted to highlight that this is a real step forward, because no longer are corporations, municipalities in the business of building and maintaining their own infrastructure. So we're moving ahead We're actually moving into 21st century technology. This is a big part of it. This BSNA services many different departments. So with this successful migration, along with the others that we spoke of, we're going to see less and less infrastructure on site, externally hosted services that we simply subscribe to. Let the third-party data centers with top-notch security, with top-notch hosting, redundancy, and backup worry about all of the infrastructure. We reap the benefits of the subscription. So well done. Thank you.
Any additional? Call the question, Ms. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Lafferty?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Mr. Papandrea?
Yes.
Mr. Rogency?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Green votes yes. Item passed 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Motion to adjourn.
Support Lafferty.
Motion by Moore, support by Lafferty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.